Hello. I'd like to talk today about sports. It's an idea for a league I've had for a year or two. And, with there's no sports going on now, and I really miss sports because of the coronavirus paranoia. That, not that it doesn't exist, but it doesn't, as I've said many times, it almost doesn't, the death rate is almost exclusively for people who are over 60 and have and or people who have serious health issues or weakened immune systems. And what I was thinking was starting up 5 leagues, say 4 leagues, and even you could just start with 3. You lease some land or buy some land. Doesn't really matter where it is as long as it's preferably a warm weather area where you could play year round. In fact, that would be almost mandatory. So it would have to be a warm weather area. And and then you also have this would take some money to start. I understand that, and you might also build a or just have trailers, bring in trailers for at least trailers. But you would have leagues. You would have a baseball, a football, North American football, and a soccer, which is what the rest of the world calls football. And so I'm just going to call it soccer. So you have a soccer, American football, and a baseball. And you build a couple of baseball. You could probably get away with one. Just build one baseball field, one football field, just lay out, and one soccer field. And what you do is you have like say 12 teams, and you get players to play. And what you do is you'll have trailers and everything. So you offer them free places to live. You give them room and board and a little bit of money to start with, and not much. And what they do is they play in their leagues. So you have like a league of 12 teams in each sport. And what you do is you put the games on the internet, and you have a league it's entirely online. None of it's on TV. You don't sell tickets. That's not the point. It's all online. And you charge a very tiny amount of money. The Netflix version. A lot of a lot of quality content for a cheap price. So you charge only, say, $5 or $4 or $5 a month. And for that, they get they probably just start with $2 or $3. And you get free, or you get to watch the games. You get to watch all the games, so there'll be 6 games a week of football, and they'll play all year round. So they'll have 2 leagues per year. So they'll have one football league that goes for 6 months, including the preseason, the regular season, and the playoffs, and then they start again in the fall with different players. And same with baseball, same with soccer, and they play all year round. So you'd have each sport would have 2 leagues. And so there'd be 12 teams, and you house the players, you feed them, you give them medical insurance, and give them a little bit of money, and then that's the overhead basically. You have to build the facilities, and then but you don't sell tickets or anything like that. You just sell it on the internet, and when you get your subscription, you can watch 12 games. Also, since there's no fans, and since this would be self-contained, it wouldn't be affected by coronavirus. You'd make sure it's self-contained. So these people have to stay. They have to stay on the compound for the whole season. There'll be all kinds of other facilities too. But I mean, or like as long as the coronavirus is going, and if they leave, they got to have 12, 14 days quarantine if they come back, and obviously have medical facilities on there too, some sort of medical facilities, and like minor ones, and then you have later. It's if they need to go to the hospital, you have to take them to a hospital. But they're so what they would do is you would have these leagues, and there'd be no fans. You would just have the pure sporting event. Yeah, I know a lot of fly-by-night fans want to hear the crowd. I'm not. I like to hear the pure sports. I could give a crap about the crowd. It's nice, but it's like, nah, I want the sport in its pure form. You don't need a crowd for that. So they play. So your subscription is say $4 a month, $48 a year. You would get to start, and you would get. So you get. There's 12 teams in football, 12 teams in baseball, 12 teams in soccer. So every day there's at least 2 or 3 sports games in every sport. You can obviously watch the sports that went on before, and you can watch them anytime you want, like Netflix. You can watch the show, the movie, the show, the game you missed anytime you want, or the old game, part of it, all of it, one part of it, whatever you want, and that would be it. And that's what you would get for your subscription. And then if enough people did, I mean, if you had, say, 10 million people doing it, watching it, it's worldwide because it's the internet. But let's say you had 10 million people. That's $4 a month. That's $40 million a year. Get a million people. That's $4 million a year. That's 48 million four million a month, 48 million a year. I mean, that's going to be more than enough to cover everything. So all you would need would be a million people watching in a month, and you're ahead of the game. There's no way it's going to, because you're going to pay these people minimum amount of money. Minimum. They're basically people that come there, because they're fringe players, or they're very young, or they're very fringe, or they're older players. If you had football, it would have to be a lot of rules about protecting the players. I mean, a lot of rules protecting the quarterback, because you don't want to get, you want to keep injuries to a minimum. So baseball, there's few injuries, and soccer, there's few injuries. So you might also, and eventually, what I'd like to do is build up enough money so you could build a rink, and you could have ice hockey and basketball. And I think it's something that's doable. I think it's something that, especially now with coronavirus and all, it looks like the sports opening up are going to have to play in front of no fans. So people are going to get used to that. It would take some money to start up. I don't know how much, 50, 100 million, maybe not even that much. But again, you could to start out, you could just lease the land. It's not expensive to build fields, these 3 fields, and lease a bunch of trailers for people to live in during the season. Anyway, that's my idea. I've had it for a few years. I just wanted to lay it out there. Thanks for listening, and have a good day.